Welcome to Edu-Malanga, our channel where we make videos for the South African syllabus. And I today am continuing on with functions and inverse functions, example number 2. So we've discussed previously in previous videos that I think that you should check out if you haven't already checked out this, because they will explain better the introduction, but I will do my best to go through this example really well. So essentially a function is a graph, and we are here then to answer a type of typical exam question or a test question that you could be given. Okay, given that fx, which is our graph, is equal to negative x plus 5. Okay, so that is the relationship that they've given us. And we previously had discussed and defined functions essentially as rules and relationships between two sets of data. Functions essentially as rules and relationships between two sets of data. I'm given that, and then I'm asked 5 questions. The first question is I must calculate f, which is this relationship at -1, and f at 2, and f at 0. Okay, I must use the answers above to write down 3 elements. Elements are numbers in a set. Okay, so use the answers above to write down 3. So not 5, not 4. So 1, 2, 3, we can already see where this is coming from. 3 elements of the domain of the 3 elements of the range of f. What I had previously discussed in the previous videos is that when we're talking about domains, we're talking about x values, and we're talking about range, we're talking about y values. So it's that simple, nothing complicated, but that's what they're talking about. Then, after we've written down our 3 elements, we're asked to draw the graph of fx for the domain, which is again x values, x real numbers. So that's just real numbers, guys, nothing complicated. It just means that we're drawing it for numbers that are negative and positive, and that's it. Okay, and 0. So use the graph to explain why fx is a function. Question number 4. We had previously explained that although we're doing graphs, functions, and inverse functions, is that we still need to do a straight line vertical test to test whether or not it is a function. Okay, but it all falls under the same topic, is a function. The last question is what kind of function is fx? Okay, so this is our graph, and we also compute it at -1, at 2, and at 0. Okay, then we ask those questions. So I'm going to rewrite our function. I discussed in the previous video how it's so essential and important to rewrite your function, redraw your graph if you have to, so that you're not confused, especially given the fact that sometimes it's marks that are relatively easy to get, and so we should get them. Okay, especially after watching this tutorial. So we have a negative where there was x, I substitute in -1 and I add 5. Negative again, I'm going back to that where there was a 2 and I substitute 5. I go back to that, so I get a negative. This time it's a -0. Okay, so -1, negative goes away. I get 1 plus 5 is equal to 6. A -2 plus 5. What I get essentially is a -2 plus 5 because there's no other sign here that's going to confuse us, and that is 3. -0 is 0 itself, plus 5 is 5. First question said, calculate f at -1, at 2, and 0. That's it. So here we've answered question number 1. Question number 2 said, use the answers above to write down the 3 elements of the domain x values. I'm gonna keep emphasizing, if you know it, please just bear with me, and the range is y values. Okay, so I'm gonna write down 3 elements of the x value and 3 elements of y value. This is really easy because we've already calculated it, so we just need to remember essentially, I think it's very important, what they mean when they say domain and what they mean when they say range. Domain is x values, therefore I open up my brackets, y values, I open up my brackets, I go back and I read -1 to 0. I go to domain, okay, -1. So I'm not going to write 2 here because it's bigger, so I'm going to write the 0 first and then the 2. So I must correspond this really, really well. I had -1, so I'm going to write 6, 5, 3, because 5 corresponds to 0. 6, 5, 3. That's it, guys. We have answered question number 2. Must draw the function. We already have 3 values, so I'm just going to come back here. As I've been doing, I draw my Cartesian plane, which is x and y values. Okay, and then what I do is that I remember what I had. So I had a -1, 6, 0, 5, 2, 3. So I'm going to be smart about this, is that -1 went with 6, right? This one, this value here, that corresponded to 0 was 5, and here we had 3. So -1, 6. -1 goes up to 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 0 and 5. 2 and 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Looks very, very more or less like a straight line. And so we draw it there, and we've got, I would expect you guys to obviously use a ruler and it will make the world a difference. But I am just here explaining to you guys how this works. And if you drew that with a ruler, you would get the marks relevant. Question number 4 is, what kind, is this a function or not? And what kind of relationship is it? So I think 4 and 5 can fit into 1. And as you guys have been seeing, I will redraw till we are blue in the faces, simply because we cannot afford not to get things right. And that was the graph, and so I'm not going to draw it clearly, but this was the type of graph we had. And if I draw, what I see here is it crosses the line once, it also crosses the horizontal once, so it is a function. Yes, and it is a one-to-one relationship. Every single value only corresponds to one value in that one set. 1 to 1 function. Okay, guys, so if this is our question, given fx is equal to -x plus 5, we have drawn, because we got the 3 values, then we said we need to write down the elements. Remember, Elements is essentially what values make up of that. And so because they had given us 3 points, we were able to write down 3 points. In the domain is x. In the range is y. Draw the graph of fx. We drew that for that domain. And then we did that. We used the graph to explain why it is a function and then what kind of function it is. And so it brings us to the end of our video. Please do join in. I will continue on next time to inverse functions. I really enjoy doing these videos and interacting with you guys. So please comment below, like, share, rewatch these videos, whatever you need to do. Let's pass maths. Thank you.